La la la, hey, yeah, yeah.
I have been looking on this evening at a merry company of children assembled around that pretty German toy, a Christmas tree. The tree was planted in the middle of a great round table and towered high above their heads. It was brilliantly lighted by a multitude of little tapers, and everywhere sparkled and glittered with bright objects. There were rosy-cheeked dolls hiding behind the green leaves, and real watches dangling from innumerable twigs. French polished tables, chairs, wardrobes, 8-day clocks, and various other articles of domestic furniture. Jolly, broad-faced little men, much more agreeable in appearance than many real men, and no wonder, for their heads took off and showed them to be full of sugar plums. There were fiddles and drums, books, work boxes, sweetmeat boxes, peep show boxes, and all kinds of boxes. Trinkets for the elder girls, baskets and pincushions in all devices, witches standing in enchanted rings of pasteboards, teetotums, humming tops, needle cases, conversation cards, real fruit made artificially dazzling with gold leaf. In short, as a pretty child before me delightedly whispered to another pretty child, her bosom friend, there was everything and more.
I love it. That, ladies and gentlemen, is one of Dickens' delights and read by James Richardson from the Third Wall Theatre Company. Welcome to the show, James.
Thanks for having me.
A wonderful reading, and of course, everybody knows Dickens, but I think there's a lot of things they may not know about him. We pretty much owe him to all the Christmas that we have today to Dickens, don't we?
Absolutely. So much of the traditions of Christmas that we celebrate, the family getting together, having feasts, and giving gifts and being generous and everyone being happy, all of that comes from that era, and his stories really lent the inspiration to that, because before that it was all sort of medieval church ceremonies, and it was all very dark, and it's not that he got rid of sort of the fact that Christmas is all about the birth of Christ and that,
right.
But it took it out of the church and made it all about family and the generosity. So yeah, he really is. You could call him the birth of modern Christmas, I guess.
Yeah. And a lot of people don't know, but he wrote about Christmas quite often.
Almost on an annual basis,
Right.
I would say. Yeah, he wrote many stories, and the Christmas Carol, of course, is the one that's really stuck with us all these years. But on an annual basis, he would write these stories, some of them short, some of them as long as the Christmas Carol, and they would be printed in magazines. And they're not all necessarily about Christmas, because one of the traditions of the time was telling ghost stories.
Yeah.
And as the family would get together, they would gather around the fire and they would tell ghost stories. Not too scary, but
right.
but ghost stories. And so he started, a lot of the Christmas stories he wrote were ghost stories.
Yeah.
And so some of the ones we're going to be reading, they are actually, they're ghost stories. And
I love it. And yeah, and they would read these at Christmas. We always think of ghosts, we think Halloween, but he included ghosts in his Christmas stories so
absolutely.
often. You mentioned that you're going to be reading. Tell everybody about Dickens' Delight and what they can expect.
Well, Dickens' Delight, it's a part of our series called the Empty Space series, which is just a thing we do all year long, where we do readings of different plays and stories in a dramatic fashion. So what they're going to get is a group of actors. There's going to be 3 professional actors and 7 actors from our youth wing who will be dramatizing these stories. Now, there will be a narrator, and then different characters will be voiced. They're not going to be running around the stage or dancing. It is a reading, but they'll bring those characters to life. And I mean, they're wonderful stories. Wonderful sort of, some of them get a little bit creepy, and there's goblins. There's one actually called the Christmas Goblins, which is actually the inspiration for A Christmas Carol.
Unbelievable.
So where is this all going to be happening?
It's going to be happening at Glebe St. James Church, which is at 650 Lion Street in the Glebe, tomorrow night at 7:30.
And all welcome. Is there an admission fee?
There's an admission fee.
Okay.
It's $20, and you can buy tickets now, or you can buy them at the door.
Fantastic. Great reading, James. Thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure.
I really do appreciate it. And there's so much to learn about Dickens as well. We didn't even get close to getting into all the details, but I'm sure if you go to the reading, you'll find out more about this wonderful author. He's just an incredible guy.
Exactly. I wonder if that's where the Grinch came from. Those stories about these evil
Look at James is dying to say that. You'll have to go and find out more and talk to James tomorrow night.
We've got a great show coming up tomorrow. Diane Parody of CA Parody fame is going to be here showing us the particular wine glasses you want for that wine during the holidays.
We have Ryan Mason from Lush. All that and more. We'll see you then.
Call the Rogers